Hello, Martin Roberts here with more property top tips for you. And this time we're looking at the perennial favourite, buy to let. Now, there are other buy to let strategies and lots more information on other parts of this YouTube channel. Check out the property masterclass section for more information about buy to let. But this is just a very quick roundup, my top 10 tips for buying to let. Make sure you like this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and tell your friends if you're having a good time watching it. So buy to let, the idea is you buy a property, you let it out, and you let it out, rent it out for more money than it's costing you to own that property. That's one of the basic principles of property investments. A lot of people buy properties, do them up and sell them on. That's a flip strategy. Other people hold their properties and rent them out, and that is what I'm talking about here. So your top 10 tips for buying to let, choosing them and operating them. Number 1. Choosing property that's fit for purpose. Buying property in an area or with the end in mind. For instance, if you are thinking about letting to students, you want to be buying in an area where there are a lot of students, close to transport links to the university or a teaching hospital. If you're looking at renting out to professionals, is there a market for properties that young professionals or professional people are looking to rent? If you're looking to rent to families, are there good schools in the area? Make sure that you're starting with the end in mind and that you know the kind of demand that there is for properties in that area. Number 2 is making sure that your property is fit for purpose for the person who's looking to rent it. So fit for purpose. So if you're renting a family property, have you kitted it out for families? Does it have the right number of bedrooms and bathrooms? Does it have a nice garden? If you're renting professionals, to professionals, then perhaps something that's a flat with less space, maybe it doesn't need a garden. It's got to be fit for purpose. Students, is it going to be the kind of house that a student would want to rent with a communal area and then individual bedrooms, perhaps en suite? Again, think about the end user and target your market and create a house that is going to be suitable for them. Number 3, choose properties that are close to potential sources of renters. So you want to be buying accommodation perhaps that's close to a university or a teaching hospital or schools or places where there are lots of people working. Those will naturally provide people who will rent your property from you. So pick areas where there is a natural pool of people who might rent your property. Number 4, transport links. It's always good to have a property that's well located for transport links. Not everybody has a car or access to other forms of transport, so public transport links are really, really important. So properties that are on a good bus route or perhaps a metro line or close to an underground station or a train station will always do really well and will open up the opportunities for more people to rent your property. So transport links, really important. Number 5, if you're thinking about renting for families, then you've got to think about the requirements that a family will have. So check out local schools and buy properties that are close to popular schools. Make sure the house is as family friendly as possible, and that includes the garden or perhaps having extra bedroom space or amenity space. Perhaps open plan living is something that's going to suit a family better than lots of small rooms. Again, make the property fit for purpose. Number 6, hard work. Don't be shy of it. Turning a property into a suitable buy-to-let opportunity is not necessarily going to be easy, but you will be repaid for your efforts. And I suggest you get the property up to a really high standard at the start so that you know that it's right and that you won't be troubled further down the line by having to do work that possibly would have been easy to do before the tenant actually took possession of that property. And following on for that, number 7, low maintenance properties. Either picking properties that are naturally low maintenance, perhaps flats that don't have a garden, or making the property low maintenance by the work you do on it. So installing fixtures and fittings at a good quality that aren't going to fail, making sure that the boiler has been serviced and that the general fabric of the property, the rainwater goods, the exterior is in as good a state as possible so that it becomes maintenance free and you don't have to have the hassles of trying to sort things out when you've got tenants in there, because the last thing you want is phone calls in the middle of the night with something having gone wrong. Now, a managing agent can sort sort those things out for you. But if you set out to try and make the property as high quality as possible, then you're going to minimise the chance of those kind of issues. Number 8, make sure the common parts of any shared property are in good condition. So I'm talking about a block of flats where you own a flat in that block. Make sure that the communal areas are kept clean and tidy. Now that is often the job of the managing agent or the management company. So before you take on those kind of properties, make sure that the management company is doing a good job. Speak to existing tenants, speak to existing owners, and check that everything is up to scratch. The gardens are maintained, the corridors are maintained, the actual fabric of the building is sorted out. It's really important, otherwise that's another issue that you're going to have to deal with somewhere down the line. Number 9, last but one in our top 10 list of buy to let properties. Really consider whether or not you should go for furnished or unfurnished accommodation. Now, the best people to advise you about this are local estate agents, who will tell you the demand in the area for unfurnished, as in just a bare shell of a property, or furnished accommodation, which already has some of the basics such as beds, sideboards, cupboards, and that kind of things. Now, there's a demand for both. There's those people who are moving out of existing properties and they don't want to store the stuff that they own, in which case they will go for a unfurnished property and want it to be exactly that. When it comes to people who don't have too many things of their own, perhaps a furnished property is what they want to go for. So talk to local estate agents, find out what the demand in that area is for either furnished or unfurnished property. And finally, make sure you do your sums before you engage in a buy-to-let investment. There are lots of additional costs that you need to take into consideration, such as making sure that your house insurance covers you for renting out to other people, and that you've got all the adequate insurance for exactly the job that you are doing and the services that you are providing. There will be other things which you have to take into consideration, from maintenance to upkeep, and doing things to the property to get it into a state that makes it as attractive as possible. So make sure that you've done all your sums before you get involved in a buy to let purchase, and that the income you're going to receive at the end of the day is greater than the expense you're going to have to put out to own that property. So you need to factor in any loans, any mortgages, any rent payments, any rate payments, anything else that you're throwing into the equation. And bear in mind, another thing you might want to consider is whether or not you're renting out the property with things like electricity and gas included or not. Again, that needs to be a serious conversation with the potential tenant, and also a serious conversation with people who can advise you on budgets and how to make the numbers when it comes to buy to let investments stack up. So there you go, your top 10 tips on buying to let property, or buying property to let. There's lots more hints and tips on this YouTube channel for you, covering all aspects of property investment and renovation, as well as DIY. So bounce around the channel and have some fun seeing what I've done for you, and that is up there. For now, make sure you like this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back with more property top tips for you very soon.